we got that thing out. We touched leader twice. Tried to get it up where we could take some more pictures or videos of it, and then it was wrapped, so the leader was wrapped around the dorsal, and so I got some GoPro videos and stuff of it and everything. We're kind of at that point we're taking turns on it. After we touched leader, we're all taking turns and reeled on this thing. Tried to get it up a little closer, and we ended up the rod actually ended up breaking, snapped the line. But everybody was estimating, captain was estimating it's around 900 pounds.
And how did it start out? Like, what was the origin story?
Too much alcohol.
Really? Okay.
Says if God wanted us to have fiberglass boats, he would have given us fiberglass trees.
It's for fishermen. It's not for taking the wife and the wife's friends.
I think that it's a really, really pretty bit.
And then there was a blur that went by and ended up in the cockpit, as far as if I can remember correctly.
What's up, everyone? This is Leo from the State of Sport Fishing podcast. We are joined today by Mike Bell and Team Hell's Bells. It's funny how this kind of came about. We were on social media, and I don't know how it went down, but someone said, "Hey, you guys should have Team Hell's Bells on." And we were like, "All right, cool." And every now and then, people tend to take this stuff a little bit too serious, and every now and then you should just kind of go with the flow. And we always say, people, if you have anyone that you think we should have on, let us know. And they recommended you guys, so we listen to the people. So
Here we are.
Can you guys give a little introduction about your team, who you guys are, and your backstory a bit?
Yeah. And it may kind of start probably like a lot of people start out. We started out. I grew up in South Georgia, and there wasn't a lot of access to the ocean back then. So still isn't from Georgia in the southwest corner. So I grew up like a lot of guys, freshwater fishing. My dad kind of taught me everything about fishing for all that kind of stuff on the inshore, freshwater side, lakes, ponds, rivers. And we were fishing really more to put, I think food on the table more than anything. And so we did I think when I was a little boy, it was brim fishing, bass fishing, catfishing. I really got into bass fishing and more sport fishing than anything. I think as we grew up, I introduced Cooper, who's my son, introduced him to fishing, and he really got into it at an early age and was catching some big fish and really enjoyed it. And then as we moved around, I'd go fishing with people like, customers offshore, but I never did a lot of offshore fishing growing up. But I loved it when I went. And then we moved into Jacksonville 20 years ago, probably. And my next door neighbor had a boat. He's like, I'm going to buy a boat, and it's a 21 footer. If I buy it, will you go in and help me, keep it up and take care of it? I said, yeah, absolutely. That's the best guy in the world to have, a buddy that doesn't want you to spend money on it, but he wants to help you.
That's the best thing man can ask for, man.
And so the guy became my best friend. His name's Jason, and we started going offshore in this 21 footer. I think it was a fish hawk or something. I can't remember the name of the boat. It wasn't a very sturdy offshore boat, but we had a single engine. We'd go offshore all the way out to the ledge. Jacksonville. We live in Jacksonville, Florida.
How long of a run is that? Is that close by?
It's 60 miles to deep water.
Oh wow!
And single engine, got stuck a couple of times. We had a time we ran out of gas, and we also had a time we had an engine blew up. So it was good to have some CETO assistance on that one. But we found out how expensive CETO was on that. But
how much was it? I'm curious.
Gosh, back then when we ran out of gas, I want to say it was $400 or $500 just to get gas out there, and then that's when he decided it's well worth the membership. Go ahead and pay for it. I'll split it with you. And but we'd go out there and just do a little bit of mahi fishing, catch some bait, grab whatever we could catch, we'd catch, and that's when I fell in love with it. And we moved closer to the Intercoastal, and so Jacksonville's got a great fishery. For anybody who's listening and doesn't know, a lot of people think of Florida, they think of South Florida, the Keys, and which is great, but it's nice here because we got some backwater fishing, the marshes and stuff. We live on the Intercoastal, so we can that's how we started. We bought a little skiff, started fishing, doing some technical poling, fly fishing, stuff like that for redfish, trout, top water. And to me, it kind of mimicked bass fishing. So we started that, and then when we moved in, all the people in the neighborhood all have boats. They're all big fishermen. And these guys are all doing a lot of offshore stuff. So they're doing kingfish, they're doing, the mahi runs, they're doing Wahoo tournaments. And my next door neighbor, Phil, he's like, you got to get in, you got to start doing kingfish tournaments. You can take a little boat, go out there, and I think we had our first boat was a 22-footer.
22 sea hunt.
Yeah.
22 sea hunt. Okay.
Single engine. And here we are entering a tournament with a single engine class, small boat division, doing one of the biggest kingfish tournaments in the country, which is the Greater Jacks tournament. And we got our butt kicked. We just absolutely I mean,
you contributed to the jackpot. That's what you did.
Well, I think that's what my neighbor wanted me to get into it. I think he just wanted me to bump the pot up a little bit.
There,
so
you win more. Exactly. Yeah.
He knew we weren't going to win.
Yeah, like get in all the Calcuttas, get in everything.
So we did. We started, and then next thing you know, we kind of got the itch and decided to upgrade the boat. Got the 3-foot itch and started upgrading the boat 3 foot at a time. And
okay.
We had a Cape Horn that was kind of built for kingfishing. Did a couple of years of fishing, and so we've only been tournament fishing for 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah, not very long.
Since we moved into this house, and so we just started fishing. Came up with a team name. Cooper kind of came up with the name, and we thought,
where does it come from?
Was great. What's that?
Last name? Because the last name.
Yeah. Last name. Well, we didn't want to be like Tinkerbell or Taco Bell or something like that. So Hell's Bell's a little better. Okay. And now we got a theme song, right? We can ride out to ACDC on the ride out.
Of course. Okay.
But we started fishing these tournaments, and I got addicted. I think Cooper's just as addicted as I am. Matter of fact, he fishes the pro series of Kingfish Mayhem with some guys and fished.
Who do you fish with?
So I started out fishing the pros with a team you guys might know, Four Reel, run by Hayden Engler. It's
I've heard of it. Yeah.
39-foot Frontrunner. And he's one of my best friends. Kid's super fishy, and so he's taught us actually a lot of what we know for kingfish and everything. So started fishing some pro stuff with him, and from there just met a bunch of other guys. I now fish the pros on a Team Flossie. It's a 39 ST run by Spencer Ross.
Okay.
So both super good, well-known captains in the area, and have learned a lot from those guys. So it's helped us, in our tournament scene. And now we have a 33-foot front runner, so we're able to do a little bit more and kind of reach out and do some more tournaments, Wahoo and stuff like that. So it's fun. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of good guys in the area, and
that's the nice thing about the area, and I guess the community, just the general fishing community is one, there's a lot of different types of fishing you can do here, but also because it's a great fishery. But the tournaments that are put on here, the community, I keep looking. If I look this way, I'm probably looking at houses, which are all my neighbors that all have boats and stuff. And it's just it's a great community of guys, a pretty tight knit community as you could imagine, and you're aware of, and the stuff that you do, and
yeah.
It's pretty neat to be able for them to come together and share ideas and give pointers on how to do things, and you get to fish these tournaments and you realize there's a lot of spots out there, but there's very few spots these guys really fish, and it's really just timing and right bait, right time, and so we learned a lot from these guys, whether it's some of the guys that Cooper Fish was with, whether it's Hayden or Mikey, who also fished with us, to neighbors around here, Phil, some of those guys that run Time Served, and some other different captains around. We just pick up little things, tidbits everywhere we go, and I'm super competitive. I mean, we do a lot of hunting and hunting as well, and we don't like to hunt. We do archery hunting. We do not just archery hunting. We do mountains, backpacking, elk. We don't go for just a rabbit or something. We kind of go a little bit more extreme, and I think it's just competition more than anything. I think we like a challenge.
Okay, so as with a competitive bug, I have it bad. But let me ask you guys a question, just for the people who are not familiar with Jacksonville's fishery, and I'm one of those people. What's it kind of like? Is there a big marina that kind of is the marina in that area, or is it all kind of spread out?
I would say it's really spread out. Like the two main inlets around us are Mayport and St. Augustine. That's really the only ones around us.
Okay.
And St. Augustine, you got like Comanche Cove where the Blue Water Club's at, and or the Marlin Club's at, and that's probably the biggest, Comanche Cove. There's some good boats there, but I would say it's really pretty spread out. Beach Marine is kind of in between both inlets. There's a couple boats there, but Jacksonville is not really like a huge place that you're going to go and see like these crazy sporties and a bunch of boats that it's kind of, it's like the slimy Kingfish guys that like
No, but that's a whole different world in itself. And
yeah, it is. It's
Well, in the backwater, there's so much backwater fishing. A lot of guys doing a lot of, redfish, trout, fishing flood tides and those kind of things. But also, so a lot of guys around here have skiffs and do a lot of poling. And then we find a lot of Kingfish guys around here doing tournaments. And then the offshore bite is really pretty good too at times. If you catch the mahi just right, it's a great mahi bite. But we tend to do the tournament stuff, which is either the blue water Wahoo tournaments and stuff. We've been fishing that for a while, and we've done. I guess we fished Paul's tournament. Paul Dozier runs a Wahoo shootout, and I think it's like the largest Wahoo tournament in this country or southeast for sure.
wow,
But he
okay.
does a great job of putting on a tournament. Great sponsors, great. He runs it really well. And there's, I think that one. Most of the Kingfish tournaments we have, that are anywhere from 120 to 250 boats. Man, some of the beachier ones, the ones that are closer to the shore, 400 or 500 boats probably, because a lot more people can get into those and not have to go offshore too far. But the bigger major ones are probably, I would say, a couple hundred boats in each one of them.
Wow.
The last Wahoo tournament we fished was 226 boats, I think, was in the Wahoo shootout.
Yeah.
And but there's a great Wahoo bite. Some of the best. Probably some of the best Wahoo fishing in the country is right here in Jacksonville.
And you said that's a 60-mile run?
Yeah, we run, Wahoo will get a little bit deeper. It depends, we're looking for temperature and looking for, certain things, but we probably run 70, 75 miles, depending on where we're going to go. But so from Mayport or from St. Augustine, we're going to run a little bit closer from St. Augustine because the Gulf Stream is a little closer. But you're probably running anywhere from 60 to 75 miles, depending on where you're going. So it's a run.
Yeah, it's a really cool fishery though, because of how much there is to do between here and the Gulf Stream. Like there's a lot going on, and the tournament scene's kind of catered to that. Like with the Kingfishing and the really the main tournaments here are Kingfish and Wahoo. It's like, and that's because of how far everything is. Like you've only been, I think you've been to the east side once or twice, and his first time to the east side, we doubled up on blue marlin. Like, yeah, it's a good fishery. It's just kind of,
it's hard to get to it.
It's hard to get to it, and it's kind of hard to fish it. The guys that are really good at it here are
For
really
those
good.
who don't know, what's east side?
The east side of the Gulf Stream. So
Understood.
Or the other side, yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, those are you got to have the right boat that can do that. You can't leave the inlet and put a dredge out. You gotta really
run.
make it worth it whenever you go.
It's not like South Florida.
No.
Guys that are really good at it here are really good.
Okay, I mean, it's the good thing is it's not like Ocean City and Cape May where you gotta run.
Yeah.
You gotta run freaking 100+ miles just to really get there.
Yeah.
Well, our first, so we got this Frontrunner, the 33. We got, I think it's hole number 12. And we've kind of been on a wait list for that thing, and we got it. And on Maiden Voyage, we decided let's go sword fishing. So we went 2,000 feet, which is 110 miles. Maiden Voyage. We decided, let's just go for it. So we put that thing through the ringer on the first trip.
That's one way to break her in.
Yeah, hooked up on a sword, got him to the top. He spit the hook, he jumped, and but first trip was a success. We got one to the top, got to see it, and
okay.
I got to play around 2,000 feet of water and 110 miles. That was a good Maiden Voyage.
That's a great Maiden Voyage. I mean, that's called breaking her in right. Was it
no
rough?
No fear right there.
No, you trust your instruments.
That's another thing about Jacksonville. It's kind of cool. Is like we have actually a pretty good fishery for swordfish too. Like it's not a ton of people doing it. Also probably
because it's so far, huh?
Yeah, but it actually is really good. You'll go nighttime and catch 6 swordfish, and I mean, I know it's not insane, it's not the Keys or anywhere like that, but it is good. And I mean, yeah, we went out one of our first times daytiming, we hooked up on like 150-pound swordfish and jumped right next to the boat. It was pretty cool.
Daytime sorting, Maiden Voyage, that was a nice one.
Wow. Okay. And what was the thought process behind getting the Frontrunner? What was you guys want a 33-foot boat? I imagine it needs to be fast because you got to run that 60, 70 miles.
Yeah.
How did that whole thing came about?
We wanted something that was going to be, because we had a couple other boats in the past, and the Cape Horn was made it was built like a tank. So it was a great boat for what it was, all pure fishing boat. And I wanted something that was pure fishing with, if I wanted to add a coffin box or something and make it, put a cushion on it and have a sandbar day, we could, but I wasn't really interested in all the other features of creature comfort. So we really wanted something to get out there, had a big enough tank that could take us out, with, sword fishing, going out and doing all the Wahoo high-speed trolling. And so Frontrunner came up with a boat that really didn't have the step hull. So it was made a little bit more for high-speed trolling. And so you could run out there. We put so this is a 33, we put Trip 300 R's on the back of it, and we went something fast. So we were able to put something, 33 feet, give us plenty of room to trailer. It was a trailerable boat as well. So for tournaments, we can kind of come and go with it. So that was one thing we wanted, was something big enough, but still trailerable. 2, something that had a big enough tank and enough power to get out there and get there fast. And then, 3, we talked about the hull and everything, and how you can really get up on plane pretty easily without having to fight that step. And so at 18, 20 miles an hour or not, we were able to get on plane, do high speed trolling, no issues. Running, I guess we're running a 1.1 high speeding with 3 engines. And then at cruise we're running like 1.4, 1.3, 1.4, probably 1.3 loaded.
They're also made here, so that was
of course, yeah.
Well, and the guys, Mark and Phil make a good boat. They got a great, the finishes on it are really solid. I mean, they do a great job on the finish work. And the fact that they're here, matter of fact, Phil, lives down the street from me, one of the owners, and they're at a lot of these tournaments too. So they'll have a representative there. So you got a problem with a boat or, something wrong with the engine, it was nice to have somebody there to help us, if we were into some sort of trouble during a tournament, which usually happens. We got a guy there, a guy can call, and I mean, I've had them come to the house. I've had them, as far as customer service, I mean, they've done a fantastic job of anything I need, or anything, if there's any finish work or something, a checklist, punch list. After we got the boat, they were on it. So, and they're right here. I don't have to worry about taking it to, some other state or schedule and all that. I got plenty of other work to do.
Gotcha.
And if I could do this full time, I would. I just haven't found a way to do that yet. So I also worked there for probably about a year, and got there. Well, I guess it probably wasn't even that long, but I got there while my buddy Hayden's boat was being built, and so helped build that boat, and that was pretty cool to build the boat that I was fishing on a ton. So it was pretty sweet to be offshore, and if there was anything that we needed to know about the boat, I had seen it from almost the start to finish. So it was cool to be able to get a boat ourselves that we already knew a lot about. And how the building process works and everything was nice to see all that. We had talked to a few other boat builders before we ever made a decision, and just I think it came down to maybe comfort and the customer service level that they gave us, and obviously knowing those guys and Cooper having a little bit of the inside scoop of how they manufacture stuff, and him being part. So all that factored into it. But they make a nice boat, so we went with Frontrunner and been happy with it. We've been it's pretty fishy. I mean,
cool.
First day got a sword.
I was gonna ask you guys. So what about that tournament you guys recently won?
So,
what's the story there?
Yeah, so just to kind of give you some background, we had fished the Wahoo Tournament, the Wahoo Shootout a couple times before, And every time we went out in the old boat, we had an engine problem. We had maybe a gas leak. We had something going on. So we never really did well in those tournaments, and we knew we could. So we entered this tournament, and actually the last tournament we ever entered was in the old boat. We won that one, the Kingbuster. Sold that boat, was waiting on the Frontrunner to be complete because of supply chain issues and everything else, right? So when we finally got that boat, the Frontrunner, the first tournament we entered was the Wahoo Tournament, because we got the boat in November, and the tournament starts, I think, in February. And so it's a 50-day window, that's Wahoo Shootout, and you get to pick 3 days. Those 3 days you weigh up to 3 fish for an ag weigh in. And so you got, wintertime, the north winds and stuff, sometimes the waves can be just nasty. So it's great, you get to pick your window. And so we entered the tournament, and first day we went out and we got absolutely skunked. We learned a lot. Well, and plus we didn't know how the boat, we didn't know how the boat was gonna ride and pull lures and the prop wash and everything else. So we did a little bit heavier spread the next time. But first time we learned a ton. I think we had some stuff messed up in our spread. We were high speeding the whole day. Honestly, didn't even get a bite all day long, and pretty frustrated. So being competitive, we came back, kind of reset our expectations, rethought things, did some networking, tried to learn what we need to do different, and went back out. So we declared on day 2. And day 2, we took Harrison out. So day 1 was we had 2 people back out last minute. So it was just Cooper and I on the boat. So we literally had 2-man crew. Yeah, 2-man crew, high speed, which is not great. Day 2, we declared, and we had Harrison on the boat, one of Hayden's brother that runs the other 39, that 39 Frontrunner. So Harrison was on the boat with myself and Cooper. So we had a 3-man team at least this time. And we had a small 40-something Wahoo, and then we hooked up on a 73-pounder. Got that in. So day 2 we had a pretty good number. I think we were top 15, 20 at the time. But a lot of guys hadn't declared it at that point for their second day. So we'd already burned 2 days. Had 70-something. We knew we needed to upgrade, and then all of a sudden we start seeing pictures and guys posting that they're catching 80, 90, 100 pounders. One of our neighbors caught 111-pound Wahoo.
Wow. Yeah.
And we talked about it and said, gosh, do we even need to go at this point? Because if we go, even if we got top 10, even if just barely get 10th place, maybe, which we had to do it. We had to catch a stud Wahoo, and we also had to upgrade our 40-something pounder. We kind of bounced it around, so we got it. We want to go. It may pay for gas, but the payout wasn't going to be too much. But we kind of talked ourselves into going like, hey, we can get out there on the water. Any day on the water is a good day. So we kind of talked ourselves into going. And now keep in mind, there's 3 days you have to declare. So we had already declared 2. We're on our 3rd day. We had 1 more day to burn. We get out. We get out there. We had a 5-man crew this time. Thank God. We had Mikey, his dad, Cooper, myself, and we had been high speed trolling for probably till what, like 1 o'clock.
Yeah. So this is the very last day of the tournament.
Wow. How many days was it total? Understanding?
It was like a month and a half that you get 50 to choose from.
50 days in total.
I see.
You pick three out of 50 days you get to pick.
So this is the last day of the tournament, and
we knew where we stood at this point because everybody had weighed in for the most part.
Yeah, so we're watching all these big fish get caught too. While we're waiting for the weather to kind of clear up and the moon to get right for our 3rd day. And not only is everybody catching 90-pound fish, but we're hearing that they're being caught on live bait instead of high speeding. And a huge thing in Jacksonville is high speed trolling. So that morning we went to leave, and I'm grabbing like the Trinidad's, and he's like, "What are we doing with those?" I'm like, "We're live bait."
I thought they were crazy. We're grabbing kingfish rods.
Yeah. It's literally our kingfish rods. Like,
wow. So it changed up the whole strategy.
Yeah. So it's last day. We go out there. We're trolling pretty much the whole day. We're at 1 o'clock now. Lines in are at 5 o'clock. So at 5 o'clock, we got to pull everything in.
Lines out, yeah.
Lines out. We had only caught 1 fish, like 55 pounds. high speed, and we're like, you know what, let's catch some bait. So we caught some bait, caught some runners, we caught some, later we caught some bonita and stuff. We're catching runners. We go a couple spots, we're trying out, saw some really good teams that were out there fishing, and we were in the same spot, didn't really hook up on anything. And we said, all right, let's go try one more spot, give it a shot. By this point, it's 2 o'clock. So we pull up, a couple boats there, big bait ball right there. We pull up, we drop baits and get smoked.
Yeah, there's probably we're fishing this one spot kind of, so the spot is like everyone knows where this is. It's like this old Navy tower up north, and we're fishing probably, you know, 3 or 4 miles from it, and you can see a pack of like 10 boats on this spot that, you know, we knew had a school of fish there, but we're like, man, we don't really want to fish in this pack. And then we're kind of just sitting there twiddling our thumbs while we're hearing on the radio that fish are being caught, and we're like, well, if anybody can live bait, you know, we can live bait. We do it all the time. Like, we're good at it. So we pulled in, and there's schools of bonita on top.
Baby bonita, like little candies. They're just everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, 100 yards of them, just different little schools of them that are just on top of each other trying to get out of the water, because 40-pound kingfish and 80-pound wahoo are skying all over them. And so we pull up, saw that, got diamond jigs out, caught some baits, and we had rigs ready in the back. We were fishing number 7 hard wire. So it's like
we had
kind of sketchy.
Just 20-pound test line. We're catching. We're out there trying to catch a monster wahoo with 20-pound test
on 20-pound. Okay.
Yeah, we had 20-pound main line, 30-pound leader to 9 or number 9 hard wire, and it was literally just a beefed up kingfish rig that we would use in like Biloxi or something. And put a bait out. I think the first bait we hooked up on we hooked up on a kingfish first bait.
Well, no, first bait we fought for 2 hours. Remember that when they got sharked?
Yeah.
I don't know. We fought a fish for 2 hours. Thought it was.
Oh no, you lost 2 hours of your day.
Yeah, 2. So it was 1 o'clock. No, it was 2 o'clock. We fought a fish for 2 hours, thinking we had we did have a wahoo. It made a strong run. You said it shot back to Cooper was on the rod. It shot back to the bow, or back to the boat. And I think maybe when it was on the way back to the boat, there were tons of sharks out there. So we thinking, you know, we got shark because it went down the bottom. We couldn't move it off bottom. It just sat there on the bottom. We could see it on the sonar. This wasn't moving. And so we finally just decided, you know, cut line and move on. So we broke it off and then went back to the bait. I caught a king. And then we put out another bait and that's when the big one hit. And I caught this bonita. Mikey's on the back, puts it on the rig, and you know, we do it the same way we do kingfish. And some guys, you know, put it on the rig, and then the other guy fishes the rod. And you know, we're on the bow getting more bait. And so didn't really think anything of it. I'm just fishing this rod, and I just saw him on top, like clearly getting away from something. I was like, oh, I'm getting eat.
That's the best.
And felt him get cut in half, so just dropped him back. And I was like, oh, I think I picked up. So I started reeling on him, and he just shot the boat and then started leaving town. So we turned on. I think Hayden was on the Hayden was on the wheel at the time, because I was taking a break after leaving at 4 a.m. and driving all day long. I'm like, somebody else take over for a minute. So Hayden was on the helm, and we're like getting after this fish, like we're on plane after this fish, and he's still burning it down.
And stay on top.
Yeah, he's on top. Like, wow. I mean, this thing is, you know, we have no idea how big it is, but we get on top of him, and you know, my first thought was like, yo, it was like a good fish. I thought 70, 80. It's kind of hard to tell in the water at the time, but I mean, he was just like black and green, like splotchy looking, like just looked mean, you know. If you put a gap in him, like he's gonna rip your arms off. Though we just stayed on top of him. He kept making short little runs, just a big fat lazy fish, and he stayed on top the whole time. And
that's a dream.
Yeah, probably it might have taken 2 minutes. Yeah, probably not even, like probably 6-7 minutes. Got on top of this fish. We had a 12-foot kingfoot gaff that we stuck him with. and got them next to the boat and
Yeah.
put another one in them and started fucking losing our mind.
We were
No
going
way.
crazy. Absolute batshit crazy.
Yeah.
We were really
Wow.
nuts.
Another thing that was pretty wild about that is there's another boat, Get With It. And some of my buddies fished with them and they were trolling right next to us. And I mean I could have thrown a beer at them and they saw us get hooked up. And then shortly after, like, they heard us screaming and everything. And then they got hooked up. And, 30 minutes later we hear them screaming. And so we fish all day anyway and find out they ended up catching a bigger fish. They caught a 129, which is like the record in
Wow.
Northeast Florida right now. And it was right next to us.
No
So
way.
the crazy thing about that day was not only was it last day, we fought a fish for 2 hours, and now it's 4 o'clock. We've got hardly anything to show for it. And between 4 and then lines out at 5, we put 400 pounds of wahoo in the boat.
That was a lot.
Wow.
in an hour. It was the craziest bite I've ever been around as far as like I mean, I've caught wahoo, but it's always been trolling. This was by far the craziest bite. We had some good kingfish bites and stuff, but this was nuts. I mean, you drop a bait, you're getting hit as soon as you're dropping the bait. We were doubled up on wahoo at one point, and a guy comes high speed and around us, cuts us off, breaks off the back fish, just completely cuts us off, dragging lures across our freaking our boat actually. But yeah, so that was a mess. But yeah, we put, I think it was almost 400 pounds in the boat in about an hour, like 350 pounds or so in the boat within an hour, and it was all 20-pound test with wire rigs and yeah, the thing weighed in at 113 pounds. But the lead fish at the time before we weighed, again, this was last day, was 111 pounds, which is a neighbor down the street of mine. And so we ended up beating him by a couple pounds because he had 111, we had 113, and then the guy that actually he won the ag because he had to use his fish for the ag was a 129.
129.
Yeah.
So we had a picture.
What pound test was the 129 caught on?
Oh, I don't know.
I think I believe they were using braid.
Okay.
I don't know what it was, but
I know they were using heavier stuff.
Yeah, my buddy Daniel that fishes on that boat was saying they were using some pretty heavy wire, like almost what you would have on like a high speed lure.
Mm-hmm.
That they somehow rigged up for that.
Yeah, so we gotta have some kind of record or something. 20-pound test and 113 pound. We gotta have a record.
Yeah, wow.
It was wild. I mean, both those fish were caught right next to each other. That school of fish was, there was a state record fish in there, like no doubt.
Well, we had a stud on the back that cut off. I don't know how big. He's probably, I don't know if he's as big as one we had. I saw him hit it. It was a nice fish. But yeah, to be doubled up on wahoo, live baiting. Every time we dropped it, we could have stayed out there and caught. I mean, we had so many in the front. The Frontrunner, the front live well, the front fish box is huge. I mean, I could crawl in this thing. I'm 6'3", and I could have literally laid down this thing. And we had so many fish in there. We have a ram on the thing. It wouldn't hardly close. We had so many fish in there.
Wow.
So I mean, just the size of the fish were huge. Everything was 55 pounds and up. I think we had a couple 60s, and then the 113 just a dinosaur. That thing was just a beast of a fish.
That's wild that it stayed on top. I mean, you guys were kind of a little bit in luck.
Oh my
there.
god! Yeah, if that fish would have. So since that was like our first good sized kingfish of the day, we would have been in trouble if that fish stayed down because I mean, who knows how long we'd have been fighting him or if he would have got sharked. And
we did have a hammerhead on one that we cut off. We got in front of him.
Yeah,
kind of cut him off the boat.
But I mean, if we would have been fighting that fish, till lines out, we wouldn't have got our ag fish. We had like a 67 or something like that for our ag fish that day. So we weighed 2 fish that day, and then we had the 70 something. But
do you think maybe the fact that you guys were fishing 20-pound test helped keeping it on top because it wasn't really? Probably knew it was hooked, but it wasn't really feeling the pain, so it didn't dive deep down. You think that?
Yeah,
helped?
I mean, we couldn't horse them. We had to kind of fish them like a kingfish, just fish light drag and get on top of them. And yeah, I'm sure that did help a lot.
I kind of think though that those fish, when they make a run, if you're pulling just like a bait, if you hook that bait and you're pulling up, he's going to go the opposite way of that tension, right? So with a kingfish run, That's a lot of these guys fish. We all fish like light drag, and some guys fish a little heavier than others, but we fish a real light drag, and so those fish are just making a long run. So the tension is really at a real sharp angle, right? So they're just going to stay on top. If you're pulling up on them, I mean, obviously they sound, you're kind of in trouble. But if you're getting tension back this way, they're going to keep going straight, just like any bait would. And I think that's what these wahoo did. I think they just felt the tension and just kept running straight away from the tension. And what we were able to do is get up on that guy pretty quick. Literally, we were on plane trying to go after him.
Wow.
And we got there. He was what, 10 feet underwater, maybe 8 feet.
Oh yeah,
when we got there.
Not even.
He was almost on the surface. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a couple feet underwater, and like, I mean, we got a video of it and everything, and it was just, I mean, it's just nuts. Like, I had buddies texting me like, dude, that video gave me so much anxiety just because like there's this giant fish and he's just kind of staying just out of range, and it could have got really bad if he went down, because who knows what would have happened on that, but luckily he didn't.
But I love the excitement we had. I obviously that's what everybody likes, right? But catching a big fish and then seeing, Cooper and all his buddies and all the guys on the boat all just going absolute ape shit over these, a big fish. And we did that with Kingfish. We got one. We won the King Buster.
Oh yeah,
Any big fish we catch, we just, it's just fun. We just have a good time with it.
You got to make sure you got the boat stocked full of beers.
Plenty of beer and hopefully no hard liquor, because we may not make it back.
We all get our days, man. I feel like, obviously, look, I'm as competitive as anyone. I'm sure you guys are as well. And we're always looking to kind of, find the edge, right? To kind of win. But even the best guys, they'll tell you, man, sometimes it's just your day, and things just kind of go your way. And it pains me to even say that or admit that, but it really is. It really does come down to it,
Yeah, that's I got a couple of buddies of mine. Like I told you, we used to fish in that old fish hawk. Jason and another buddy of mine, Will. We've always fished together. We did take guide trips, and a long time ago we couldn't afford hardly anything, and now we're able to go somewhere else. And COVID was kind of weird, but we'll go to Venice and go tuna fishing, and and we went tuna fishing a few years ago. Really didn't catch but a couple of yellowfin, and a lot of sharks were out there, and so we decided to go sword fishing and daytime swording, and got a pretty nice sword that day. But we'll go fishing now. We went to Costa Rica with Los Sueños. It was last year, maybe a year and a half ago. Went down there, and just one of those days like you're talking about. We were literally coming in. One of the guys stayed behind, had a rough night the night before. But we're out there fishing, and it was just a total charter deal. And we were just out having a guide trip, and we did some inshore stuff. Started to go offshore, caught tons of sailfish. I mean,
Who did you fish with?
What's that?
Who did you fish with there?
It was like a small boat. It was like DreamWorks or something. Like I think he's kind of under the radar. I think he's under the radar. He likes to keep it, off the grid. And it was a friend of a friend, so I didn't know who the guy was, but my buddy booked it, and so we went down there, and then we've gone to like Cat Island and some other places. But this one in Las Vegas was crazy because we were literally giving up. We'd caught so many sailfish, we were tired of catching them. Next day, we went back out marlin fishing just to see what we could do, and on our way in, just hooked a massive black. And it was like you said, it was just a day, and the captain was looking at us, and I said, that thing is monster. He's like, yeah, I don't even want to say how big I think that is. And I said, do you think it's a grander? He's like, man, I'm not saying, because if I ever say I just don't want to get anybody's hopes up. And sure enough, we got that thing out. We touched leader twice, tried to get it up where we could take some more pictures or videos of it. And then it was wrapped. So the leader was wrapped around the dorsal. And so I got some GoPro videos and stuff of it and everything. We're kind of, at that point, we're taking turns on it. After we touched leader, we're all taking turns and reeled on this thing, tried to get up a little closer, and we ended up, the rod actually ended up breaking, snapped the line. But everybody was estimating, captain was estimating it's around 900 pounds for this black. But wow. He's like, this will be fish of a lifetime, man. You may not ever catch a fish like this again. And for me, I'll just take that as a challenge. We'll just keep going until we catch one as big as we can.
Would you say that's your most memorable day in the water?
What's that?
Would you say that will be your most memorable day in the water?
That was definitely the biggest fish we've ever caught. But you know, with it being like a charter deal, it was by far the biggest fish and the coolest thing. We, you know, as far as a big fish and a marlin, we've doubled up on marlin before. I honestly, what I like is doing it myself and doing all the work and all the preparation, and finding the fish on our own and then doing it and making it. To me, I like that as much as anything. I mean, that was an epic day. That was crazy. But I think catching, 113-pound wahoo was pretty crazy too. So
Yeah, I know, of course.
they're all good days. It's hard to complain on either.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And how about you, Cooper? What would you say is your most memorably in water?
Gosh, that's hard.
Catching the carp on the Mickey Mouse rod.
We've won, just placing and winning some Kingfish tournaments has been really fun with my buddies and stuff, and we won a tournament together that was a lot of fun.
You just won quite a few there for a while, didn't you?
Yeah,
A
but
couple years back.
Gosh, I don't know. I think I would say my most memorable day would be whenever we had a doubleheader on the Blue Marlin on his first trip to the east side, because it was his first blue, and then my buddy Austin, who is a super great fisherman. He works on the Chunda, if you know that boat.
I do.
With Hunter Geddes and those guys, and so the kid's super fishy and had never caught a blue before, so he was the other one on the rod, and it was just like the coolest thing to catch both of those. And they were both small, but I
kind of hand fed that one because he was already hooked up, and then I saw one in his bread. I ended up feeding it back and hooked up.
That's
so
the best.
That was cool when you actually see it, and you can kind of feed it to him.
Yeah,
that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, he just popped the flat and fed him back, and we thought it was a white, and then starts jumping. It was a small blue, so we were all fired up, and then start clearing lines, and I'm actually up in the tower with Hayden, and another one comes up and eats his bait that he's clearing, and after that we just partied.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that, man.
Doubling up on those is
especially out of here. Like you don't really hear that a ton out of St. Augustine, so it was just pretty cool. Even to go out and catch a blue out of here is pretty, like, you'll hear about it,
Yeah. How far of a run is that to the east side of the Gulf?
What is it? Probably like
120 miles. Probably 120 miles.
120 miles. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I think where we were fishing that day was 120 or 130, something like that. And a lot of guys who go yellowfin fishing, they'll either go out of Canaveral or they'll come out of St. Augustine and go, and I think it's around 120 miles they start looking for birds out there.
Gotcha.
We haven't made that trip yet. That's next, maybe. I think that'll be one day. We may have to carry a little bit extra gas with us. But
I don't know. We got to see if our boat can do it. We'll be cutting it close.
Well, call Phil up. Tell him you need a bladder.
A couple of bladders. Maybe we'll do an overnight sword and do some yellowfin while we're out there.
Yeah,
exactly. All right. No, cool. Well, thanks for hopping on, guys. We're gonna keep it a bit short this time. It was really cool to hear everything. How's the gear? Forgot to ask that.
Oh, it's great. Actually, he's got on one of the hats now. No, we love it. The shirts and everything are like super. I don't know. They're super breathable and lightweight.
I like them so much. I don't even like fishing. I don't want to get them dirty because they look so good.
Well, you can always get more. Just give me a call.
What's really bad is all the everybody else wants one. So now I'm kind of like, all right, guys, I need to start ordering bigger orders this time. But, we got girls want one. All the other guys want to start trading them out. They're almost like jersey swaps after a tournament.
Oh, I know all about it. Awesome. All right, cool.
Appreciate what you guys are doing, and I enjoyed I think you guys had a captain for clean water. Recently, and so I just said you guys are doing pretty awesome. So keep it up.
I really appreciate it, guys like you to keep us going. So we do what we can. So cool. Well, we'll stay in communication, and thank you for jumping on and sharing your story. And if anyone else has any questions, make sure to comment on YouTube or Instagram. And we're always looking to have interesting people on. So if you guys ever have anyone that you guys think should be on the podcast and has interesting stories to tell, send them my way.